The question of whether the government will forgive CERB overpayments is still hanging over the heads of many who received COVID relief when the pandemic effectively shut Canada down early 2020. The Auditor General's report found $4.6 billion went to people who didn't properly qualify for the support. And an additional $27.4 billion is right now being investigated as suspicious payments. For more this morning, we're joined by Christine Dobby, a business reporter with the Toronto Star. Welcome to your morning.
Thanks for having me.
Let's start with potentially looking at $30 billion of money that went to people who might not have been fully eligible or who weren't eligible at all. How did this happen?
So a huge chunk of that money, it's more than $15 billion in money that went to the wage support program. You'll probably remember that this was money that was paid to businesses to keep people employed if they had a slowdown in their revenues. And the AG's report said that that some of those businesses might have received support when they didn't actually qualify for it. Now, the government has disputed a bit of the methodology that the AG used there, but still, it's a huge number that the AG says should be investigated further.
Yeah, the Auditor General has also said it's appropriate if the government forgives the overpayments, but clarity is needed either way. And what's the government's response to that?
So the government has not said that they're going to forgive the payments. They said that they're going to continue methodologically trying to collect the payments, but also taking a compassionate approach. And the AG said that, it would be reasonable for the government to decide to forgive the payments if they wanted to. Basically, she said Canadians deserve transparency about whether the government is going to or not, so they can plan. A lot of people might be having this hanging out over their heads, wondering if they might actually owe money back at a time when they've already spent that money and they can't afford to pay it back.
Yeah, what is the case for forgiving the overpayments?
Yeah, obviously a lot of one of the points the government made is that Canadians are fair-minded, and some people have paid back overpayments. And so it seems unfair to forgive the payments for other people. But the case for forgiving might be, and a lot of advocacy groups have said that a lot of that money went to people in marginalized groups, people who spent it, on rent and basic necessities at the time. And those same people right now are facing the cost of living crisis that we're seeing with food inflation and the cost of everything going up right now, and they just simply don't have the money to pay it back now. So that, I think, would be the major argument for forgiving the payments.
And it also gets confusing, Christine, because the government right from the beginning has always said this is not free money. At some point, a repayment is going to happen, and that have to happen, and that adds confusion to this issue of payment, of overpayment, plus small businesses who repaid, and now the government says maybe we'll repay you the repayment. It feels like a mess, and time is ticking down for the government to do something about it.
Yeah, the government only has about 36 months from the time that they paid each of the payments. And, a lot of these went out over several years. But yeah, the government took some risks when they set up this program. The whole point was to get the money out quickly to Canadians, to help businesses, to help people who needed the money, alleviate poverty, those kinds of things. And the AG said that the government did succeed in that. But the risk was that they didn't, they basically had to take people at their word that they were eligible for the money. And the AG said the government hasn't really been rigorous enough in conducting checks post-payment about whether people actually did qualify for that money.
And as we said, time is ticking, so lots of work to get done in a short amount of time. Christine, great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.